Hey everyone, it's Ferric, and welcome back to another update on the gear and deck setup that I'll be using on Michael Silverflame. Now, this is also going to be a guide on what is, in my opinion, the best and some of the most recommended gear that you can have past level 100 if you are soloing on a Death Wizard. I will be showing you what is, in my opinion, the best gear setup, and I'll also be comparing it to the last guide that I made, which was for level 60 through level 99. This guide will be applicable from level 100 through level 129. So anyways, let's get started. One thing I do want to mention is that this gear that I'm about to show you, the one that I have, is the best gear overall. I've spent way too much time farming for all this gear. I will be showing, the recommended gear for future reference when I do these videos again. By the time this Wizard's max, I'm going to make a whole guide on what the recommended gear upgrades are, because even for soloing, I think that some of this gear that I farmed for was unnecessary and I wasted time trying to get it. I don't think you should upgrade your gear based on what level you are, but you should upgrade a single piece of gear at a specific level. I am level 110 at the time of recording this video, so not all values will be the exact stats that you'll have if you were level 100 when you had this gear. However, all this gear is obtainable at level 100. The only things that will be lower is probably health, maybe mana, pip conversion, which none of this gear gives pip conversion, but I think at level 110 plus you start to get base pip conversion, but we'll talk about that later. So anyways, let's jump right into it, starting off with the hat. So now for the last gear guide, we used the Hangman's Hood, and obviously that was level 60 plus, but once we're level 100 we do want to upgrade. In my opinion, the Waterworks gear is so good that it literally lasts you all the way until Darkmoor, in my opinion. The hat that I'm recommending level 100 plus is the Crocopatra Oblivion Fez. This is for Death Wizards. Now the way you get this is from the one-shot gauntlets. I'm going to go here in the crown shop just to show you what it is. We go to houses. Yeah, okay, so it is in housing. So right here, these are one-shot gauntlets. Now you could buy them for 500 crowns, but I do not recommend that at all. You can get the Crocopatra Exalted Duel by farming Crocopatra in the Temple of Storms. In my opinion, the way you should do it is you should go with a 4-man team. The Temple of Storms itself, even if you're a higher level wizard, it still takes quite a bit of time to farm it. So I would recommend doing with 3 other people that also need to farm Crocopatra. This is the Malastare hat. You get this from the final boss in Castle Darkmoor. In my opinion, the Crocopatra hat is slightly better because you lose power pip, but I will show you at the end my power pip is over 100%. I never get a white pip except for the starting pip from the deck, which I'll explain later. But in fact, I can actually do this, and I can actually show you the new gear changes. This is basically, if I were to switch over to the Death Lords, I lose a death and a shadow damage. Shadow damage doesn't matter, that only affects shadow wand hits or spells like Dark Nova, those kinds of things. But I do lose one death damage, 1 resist. Anyways, my recommendation for hat is the Crocopatra Oblivion Fez, direct upgrade to Hangman's Hood. You do not need to get anything else. Again, this thing should last you until level 129 in solo PvE. The best balance resist damage combo hat in the game, even today. So yeah, Crocopatra Oblivion Fez for the hat. Let's move on to the robe. So for the robe, again, you get it from a one-shot gauntlet. This is the Bone Smasher Robe of Strife. So just like the other one was from Crocopatra Exalted Duel, this one is from Rattlebones Exalted Duel. So again, 500 crowns, but do not buy the crowns. Rattlebones Exalted Duels are so insanely easy to get. It's not even like the Crocopatra duels. These duels, you literally go into Rattlebones. There's not even a 10-second sigil that you have to wait for. You just walk right into the door in Unicorn Way. You can farm Rattlebones. So it's super easy to farm Rattlebones Exalted Duels. In fact, I had a page and a half of them back when I was trying to get a Master Duel, a Rattlebones Master Duel. And I literally got a page and a half of the duels. And I only farmed a total of like an hour and a half maybe. So they're very easy to get. Rattlebones as a boss himself is not easy to solo. Once I get to pets, I'll show you why I was able to solo Crocopatra and Rattlebone so easily. Again, this is very similar to the Darkmoor robe. Once again, let's actually compare it to the Malastare robe to show you what I'm talking about. So again, Malastare robe does give 3 more accuracy. Again, if you're at max power pips and accuracy already, there's really no point in getting higher than that, especially with the way accuracy works right now. Basically, you gain a damage, you gain a resist by having the Bone Smasher robe. You gain health as well. In my opinion, the Bone Smasher is the best robe. You're most likely going to be spending less time farming Rattlebones to get the robe than you will doing all of Darkmoor, because Darkmoor you have to do 3 boss battles to even have a chance to get the robe, but for Rattlebones it's just the same boss you can run over and over and over again, and you can also get the one-shot gauntlet super easily. So yeah, Bone Smasher robe all the way. This is the best robe in my opinion. There's no upgrade until level 125, but I would honestly keep on using this until 129. I would honestly wait to upgrade all the gear at a specific level. Let's move on to the boots now. So for the boots, we have the Death Lord's Greaves. So this is the first piece of gear that you don't get from One Shot Gauntlet. These boots are insane. They give a ton of block. Now, I have opened the Professor's Horde pack at level 60. I also tried opening it at level 100. That is the one pack. And again, the way I get my crowns is I do trivia. On the Wizard101 website, you can answer trivia questions. You can do 10 trivias per day. Each trivia is 12 questions. If you get 9 out of 12 right, you get 10 crowns for that trivia, and you can do, a maximum of 10 per day. That's how I can get 100 crowns every single day for absolutely free. It only takes 12 to 15 minutes to do every day. I highly recommend it if you're playing on a budget, because a lot of the stuff that I get, like, you do need crowns to play this game a little bit, especially for jewel socketing. And there are like a couple very good packs that can be useful for even budget players. Professor's Horde pack is one of them. Unfortunately, I was not lucky enough to get the Professor's boots, which would have been my recommendation. I'll throw up an image of them on screen to show you what they look like. But these are the best alternative to those. I mean, they give 105 block. The way crit and block has changed in such an amazing way that, and I'll get more onto this later on, but it's changed in such a way where 105 block is a ton of block rating. You will never need more than this block. You're basically never going to get crit on ever soloing in PvE. So like, that's all you need to know about these boots. They're insane. They give a ton of damage. Here's one thing I do want to mention. So far there has been no gear upgrade in between Darkmoor and Waterworks. But for here, as you can see, there is a pair of Poseidon boots. Now, these boots I highly recommend you get. Tartarus, there are two pieces of gear from Tartarus that I recommend getting. These Poseidon boots, I would definitely recommend getting these. I'll throw up an image of the Hangman's boots, because for whatever reason I don't have them. I guess I misplaced them or whatever. But these Poseidon boots are pretty much a direct upgrade to the Waterworks boots. They are definitely worth it in my opinion to get, because in between Waterworks and Darkmoor, you're gonna have to solo things like Crocopatra and Rattlebones. If you don't have to solo them, but like if you're playing them solo, these are the boots that you're gonna want to have before you do them solo. I think the only thing you lose out is block, but at level 60 you don't have perfect power pip chance, you don't have perfect accuracy. But once you hit level 90, you essentially have the same stats as you had when you were level 60, but you have like slightly better damage. And the main thing is you finally have 100% accuracy and 100% pip chance available. I definitely recommend getting Poseidon boots, and I think it's totally worth upgrading from the Poseidon to the Deathlord Greaves of Woe. I'm going to go to stats here. As you can see, I gained 5 accuracy, 7 damage. I do lose 2 resist, but again, you also gain like 60 health, because I'm comparing them to the Poseidon boots. So whatever's in green is what you lose when you upgrade to the Darkmoor boots. But as you can see, the 105, honestly, I would get these just for the 105 block. And the shadow rating is nice, because there are some battles where it would be nice to be able to use Call of Cthulhu, which is the spell that is available once you do the first 2 dungeons of Darkmoor. So anyways, for the wand. Now, for the wand, I recommend using the Sky Iron Hasta. You get this at Mount Olympus. It is the best wand that you can have in the game until level 115. Obviously, you could get at 110 once you do Rasputin or whatever. You could use the Rasputin wand. In my opinion, the stats aren't that much better. There's no reason to upgrade your wand until you're 115. And the reason why I say 115 is because at 115, you craft a wand from just your normal crafting quest. And honestly, Sky Iron Hasta is an amazing wand. You can open packs if you want for wands, but look at the wand I have equipped right now that I just happened to get. Headmaster Doomstaff. It's a level 60 wand, and it gives less damage. Sure, it gives 51 more crit, but that 51 crit does not make that much of a difference. It gives less damage than this Sky Iron Hasta. This is the best wand to use from level 30 to 115, in my opinion. There's no reason you should upgrade the wand at all, unless you just were opening packs to like get something and you just happen to get a pack wand. That is literally the only way to upgrade wands. Again, it will not make a difference if you keep on using this wand. This is an amazing wand. Keep on using this. Of course, I will still be sticking with my Headmaster Doomstaff. I had it when I was level 60. I got lucky enough to get it from a Professor's Horde pack that I got for free by doing a Spiral Showcase, I believe. So I will be using this just because, honestly, at this point, like, the crit doesn't even make much of a difference. It's honestly just because I already have it stitched. Real quick, before we move on to the Athame, Amulet, Ring, everything else, I will go over my stitch. Basically, the hat stitch that I have, this little hat with a little feather coming off to the side. It's called the King's Cowl. Now, this hat is auctionable. You can find it in the bazaar super easily. It's not a super popular stitch, so you will definitely find it in the bazaar, at least unless it becomes a popular stitch, but right now it's not. If for some reason in the future it becomes impossible to get, this is dropped by King Shemet Jezerit, I believe, in the Jezerit family tomb in Crocotopia. So if you want to farm him, you can get this hat. The robe, just like the robe I use at level 60, Crusher's Deathly Robe. I did try to farm for another one of this, or another one of these robes. You get this from Spike the Crusher, who is the boss in Big Ben and Marleybone in the final dungeon. You spill all the milk. You can try to get it. It's a pretty rare drop, but it looks really nice. It's just, I'm going to keep on using this probably on all my characters. And the boot stitch is the Yaketo's Sandals of Belief, I believe they're called. It is from the secret boss in Mushu, Crimson Fields. Yaketo, you spawn him by raising the 4 flags before you get to the battlefield part of the instance. So that's how you get those, and I've gotten multiple pairs of these as well. As for the wand, it is the Umbra Blade. You get this by fishing. At least the best way to get it right now is by fishing in Zafaria. You go to Elephant Graveyard and you catch sentinel fish there, and I think it looks pretty cool. It matches my stitch pretty well. You know, the black and purpley pink stuff. So yeah, that is my stitch. Anyways, moving back to the actual gear. For the Athame, I'm using the Lord of Death's Razor. Now, this is the first piece of gear that I feel that is unnecessary, and the reason that is unnecessary, when I did the level 60 gear guide, I was using the Bear's Claw of Death. Now, the first upgrade actually comes in Tartarus. So the secret boss in Tartarus that you can easily do without having to actually do the dungeon itself is Cronus. I would literally do Atlantia and unlock Tartarus literally just for this Athame. This is the Blade of the Felled Titan. As you can see, let's compare the stats real quick. I mean, okay, ignore like the accuracy and power pip stats. Those are because of jewels and whatnot, but I'm not even gonna use the gear changes thing. Just look at it, dude. It's the health difference is minuscule. The block difference is minuscule. It actually gives 1 more pip chance. The accuracy difference is minuscule. When I show you the accuracy, like that accuracy makes actually no difference. The only thing that actually makes a difference is the fact that Blade of the Felled Titan gives outgoing healing instead of incoming, which if you're farming with a team and you have a healer, then obviously the incoming is better than the outgoing. But honestly, I would say that when you're the only other major difference is that it doesn't give an extra circle jewel slot. So as you can see, I do have those nice jewels socketed, and you can't get an extra Pierce jewel slot on there. But again, you do not need that extra Pierce jewel slot in my opinion. This is a piece of gear that I spent way too much time farming for. Obviously, if you want the absolute best stats at level 100, I would keep on using this, and I would wait. There's a better Athame probably. It is dropped from Morganth. I forgot the name of it, but I'll show a thing of it on screen. But I believe it gives like around the same pip chance, around the same health. You lose the 2 accuracy, you lose 1 block, but you gain 1 damage. Same jewel slots as this. And the reason why I recommend waiting for that is because you'll find less people farming Yevgeny, which is the boss. You get this, by the way, I forgot where you get this from. You get this from the first boss in the graveyard of Castle Darkmoor, which is the 3rd instance. Yevgeny Night Creeper. And you're going to find less people, because first of all, if you're using team up to find a team to farm, you should be doing the whole dungeon, and that is not an efficient way to farm for something that's just from the first boss. Odds are you're going to find faster farming by teaming up for Morganth, because that's just one battle that everyone's teaming up for, than having to search for people that are specifically trying to go for this Athame. So in my opinion, at level 90, upgrade to this Athame from the Bear's Claw that you used at level 60, and then once you get to Morganth, which you're probably like level 103 by then, that's when you should upgrade to the Morganth Athame. And that's because Morganth also drops an amulet, which we're going to get into right now. I don't have the Morganth amulet, so this is the Deathseeker's Talisman. This is dropped from Shane Von Shane Part 1, or Part 2, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but it's the first time you have to fight him. Basically, in the 2nd instance, which is the upper halls of Castle Darkmoor, this is where you get the amulet. You get it from the final boss, Shane Von Shane, in his death form, his death only form. This is an amazing amulet. It gives a decent amount of health, not as much as his health amulet, but I mean, it also gives 4 pierce, 4 resist, it gives crit, and it gives 2 square sockets. And for those of you that don't know, square sockets for flat resist are really, really overpowered in my opinion. So that 22, that's 44 total flat resist. I believe I have another square jewel on my ring. That is 66 total flat resist. And flat resist is for each incoming damage. So that means for overtime spells, which does 4 separate incoming damages onto you, you're blocking, what is that, 66 times 4. That is 200. You're blocking a total of 264 damage from a damage overtime spell. by having 66 flat resist. So 2 flat resist jewels, really nice to have. And I needed this for the Yevgeny fight, which when I get into pets, I'll show you some crazy pets that I have. The Yevgeny fight, it's such a long battle that you're going to be taking a lot of hits. That flat resist definitely is better than a tier socket, in my opinion, over time. Like, in long battles, it's definitely better. Again, like, with with what I was talking about with the Athame, wait until Morganth. If you already have Professor's Boots, if you already have Croc Robe, Croc Hat, Bone Smasher Robe, you honestly don't even need to do Darkmoor unless you want these boots. Because then you can farm Morganth for the Athame, and Morganth also drops an Amulet. They're very similar. I would just wait till Morganth because, again, you can get both the Amulet and the Athame for Morganth. So, yeah, there's that. Let's move on. Next up is the ring. The best ring, obviously, that you could have, level 100 plus, is the Lord of Death's Coil. Again, this is a piece of gear I would not recommend getting this. Even though it's so amazing. It is so amazing. 17% power pip chance. I'm pretty sure I have max power pip chance without even socketing a power pip jewel. On my deck, my triangle socket is not even unlocked right now, and I have full pips and accuracy because this ring is just insane. It gives 440 health, 17 pip chance, 12 universal damage, so much incoming. The only way this could be absolutely perfect is if it gave universal block. It gives life and myth block for some reason, but still, this ring is insane, and it gives you all 3 jewel slots, the max jewel slots that rings can give. So I obviously have that 6% socketed, the extra 22 flat resist, the 95 health jewels. By the way, for all these jewels, the way you get the pierce jewels, the 6% are the best pierce jewels in the game, level 95 plus. The way you get these, in my opinion, the best way is by farming the 40 thieves in Mirage. That's how I got them. I just teleported to someone. They're in the thieves den. I'm probably gonna make like a whole jewel farming guide at some point, but for these specific jewels, you get them from the 40 thieves. The other jewels you can buy from the arena ticket vendor in Unicorn Way. But yeah, so like I said, this is the best ring possible, but at level 9, so at level 60 we use the black spindle of battle, I believe. Again, at level 90, so if you go to the secret boss in Mount Olympus, he's behind Eris Golden Apple, that room. If you go in there, it's called like the pit of the Noxy or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it, but there's a boss in there, Gladiator Demon Kyrus. I actually farmed that boss for Amber once, and I mean, comparing the stats, dude, it gives 70 less health, it gives a little bit less pip chance, and 2 less damage, but it still gives a ton of incoming healing, almost as much as the Darkmoor one, and you're only missing out on the square jewel slot, so you still get the circle and the tier slot. And honestly, on my main Death Wizard, on my main account, I'm pretty sure I'm still using this ring. I didn't even farm for this ring on that wizard. I'm literally using, I believe it's this ring that I'm using still. So that should show you this ring literally will last you until your max level. Once you're max level, that's when, you know, if you want to have the most damage setup possible, then you're gonna buy some Bazaar ring, but this ring should last you all the way till end game. Just use this ring, don't even focus on it. The boss to farm for this ring, it's from Aphrodite, which is the gold skeleton key boss in the 3rd part graveyard. That boss is a struggle to farm even with a team. It took me 4 attempts, I think, to solo it. I died, I'm pretty sure, like 2 or 3 times or something, and it's such a long battle. Just don't even bother, dude. Just get this ring. It's more than enough. But anyways, let's move on to pet. I'm still using Lulu as my main pet for PvE. A Death Gulcher or a Dark Hound or an Avenging Fossil. They give a Deathblade and a Faint card. Best item cards you can have if you're soloing PvE on a Death Wizard. And a straight up triple double is the best pet for PvE in my opinion if you're soloing the game. And then I also have a Selfish Jewel that boosts the number slightly, which is also pretty nice. Other pets that I have used in between that last gear guide, I made Baby Boomer right here. This pet allowed me to solo Rattlebones and Crocopatra with absolute ease, dude. It was so easy to solo those because I got insanely lucky with this pet, by the way. It has the double resist. I lose out a little bit of universal, but I gain a ton to storm, death, and life. That is perfect for the Crocopatra duel. You only face those 3 schools. For the Rattlebones duel, you only face, the most damage you take is from Rattlebones and the Fairy Queen, which is death and life. So, and then I also got lucky. Fairy, originally we thought it was going to be a failed talent, but honestly, now that I think about it, Fairy is just so nice to have on this pet because when you're in those long battles, it is nice to get a free heal every now and then. And the other pet that I used, I needed this pet for Yevgeny. It gives a ton of ice resist. I was not able to get an ice away jewel to get the absolute max ice resist, but so I just threw on a random death resist jewel that I had on there. But This pet along with this ring is what allowed me to solo Yevgeny with relative ease, because I was not able to get the Professor's Boot, so it was a little bit harder to solo that battle. So that's the pet explanation. So mount, I'm still using the Proud Lion. Again, stat boosting mounts, 1, they don't improve stats a lot, and 2, when you're playing the game on a budget, you're not gonna have easy access to a mount like that unless you spend your trivia crowns on packs. And in my opinion, the best use for trivia crowns is to unlock the jewel slots. Final piece of gear, Lord of Death's Bitter Hand. So unlike all the other pieces of gear, this is exclusively crafted. This is the best deck until the end of the game, in my opinion. You should not upgrade the deck until you are max levels. Here are the pieces of gear. By the way, before I show you how to get this, the deck, this Alpha and Omega ring, the Borganth Athame, honestly, probably also this hat, and actually, probably the Robe, because you don't really need the Corporal Tennyson Robe at 125, but definitely this ring, this deck, and the Morganth Athame, you will not need to upgrade anything past that ever, unless at 150 there's better gear. Obviously, if you're at 140 and you want the best deck, then buy whatever the best deck is at the time, but again, there's nothing significant enough that you need to farm for. This deck is insane. It gives 10 max copies to your own school, 7 universal max copies, a ton of sideboard. These things are very important for soloing, by the way. All these max copies, when you're soloing, you really need a lot of max copies. You need to carry a lot of stuff. You need a lot of sideboard. And there's no deck that gives you more copies than this deck. This is literally the best deck in terms of copies and sideboard and everything. It also gives you 16 health, 18 crit, 2 shadow resist. Those are some nice stats to throw on there. And then it gives you that starting extra pip, which is available at level 95 plus, depending on what deck you have, which is really nice because Scarecrow, you can actually second turn Scarecrow now, which, again, Scarecrow's a spell that's super amazing for PvE, the best spell for solo PvE in the game, in my opinion. So you buy the recipe from a guy that's like standing to the left of the teleporters for the 2 other instances of Castle Darkmoor. He sells you 2 recipes. So there's Lord of Death's Hand, and then there's the Bitter Hand. So the Hand is the first deck. So every school has their own version, obviously, but there's the base deck, which gives the exact same stats. It just doesn't give a socket. And then if you want to upgrade it to a deck with a socket, you can choose, I believe, square, triangle, and tier sockets. I accidentally bought the tier socket one, but luckily I didn't accidentally craft it. But yeah, so I bought both recipes. So the original hand, you have to have, basically you have to have a wisdom mote, beauty, eternity, and severity. Mote of eternity is probably the hardest to get. I don't know where I got I'm pretty sure all these motes you can get from the one-shot gauntlets. But the Mote of Eternity is definitely the hardest to get. Honestly, you get Motes of Eternity from Malistaire. Even from him, they're kind of hard to get, but when you do Malistaire a lot, you will end up getting some of these, but this is the hardest thing to get. Executioner, this fish is easy to get. You fish for it in Bastion. Just scare away all non-death fish, and then scare away all non-rank 2 fish, and literally all the fish that are there that are not sentinels are executioners. So those are super easy to get. Perfect onyxes you can buy from a vendor. But the motes you're gonna have to do some one-shot gauntlets to get. I believe Mote of Beauty you can get from Rooftop, but I just had all the other motes I just had from just doing one-shot gauntlets, and the Mote of Eternity I farmed raw, which is a wooden skeleton key boss in Crocotopia to get this. It took forever, but I got it, and I was able to have this deck. And I do have the triangle socket deck, but I don't need to unlock the socket yet. I might need it later if I upgrade gear later on that gives less power pips, less accuracy, so I might need it. But for now, I have perfect power pips and accuracy. So anyways, let me show you the stats now. So for the stats, now again, ignore the health. I'm level 110 right now, as you can see. You're gonna have like around 5600 or 5700 health, I believe, once you have all this gear. Mana doesn't matter too much. Your damage, 120 damage. This is insane, dude. Here's the big difference though. Resist. I believe I had like 40 something resist back when I did Waterworks. I had just 40, but now we have 55 resist. With resist, the way it works is the closer you get to 100, the amount of damage you take gets like so small, to the point that when you're at 99 resist, just dropping down 1 resist point from 99 to 98 doubles the amount of damage you take. So yeah, resist gets even better the more you have. So 55 resist is an insane amount to have. You're not gonna die. Even honestly, any school when you're questing, when you're solo questing with this much, if you have this much resist, you don't even need a spell like Scarecrow or any heals. You just have so much resist, you just tank. So there's that. Accuracy, I have 28% accuracy. Deaths only need 15%. You need 20% once you get your Dark Moor spell because those are a little bit less accuracy, but we have 28. We're never going to fizzle a single spell unless we get mantled, so I don't have to worry about that at all. Critical rating 352. Now here's one thing I do want to mention. So ever since I made that last gear guide video, crit and block worked very differently. Now even having a little bit of crit, once you're like level 60 plus, you crit like almost all the time. So at some point, like, critical rating, having more of it just gives you a better chance to, it just increases how much your critical does. So like your critical won't ever do truly double the damage anymore, but like the higher you have, the closer it gets to that 2 number. So like you know, let's say right here, look at my cursor, right here is double damage, right here is just not critting at all. You know, the higher crit you get, the closer we go to the right towards that limit of, you know, double damage. And 352 is a pretty good amount to have at level 100. Again, I'm not going for any real crit gear. If I were to take off this wand and equip, or sorry, wrong thing. If I were to take off this wand, the critical wand, I'd still be at 300 crit. Again, that's more than enough. You're gonna crit on pretty much every boss all the time. I still look at, you know, the actual damage I do without critting to, when I'm calculating damage or when I want to like do a boss fight or whatever. I still assume I don't crit, even though you do crit a lot with the way crit and block work. You crit almost all the time and you almost never get crit on. I have 123 universal block with extra to life and myth. You're pretty much never gonna get crit on. It's just how the game works right now. I have 25% armor piercing to death. That is insane, dude. The thing is, armor piercing in PvE, again, you don't really need it, but when you're doing it solo, armor piercing actually is pretty important when you're doing it solo, because when you're solo, you could go second, they could tower shield in the turn you hit. And it's not like a team battle where, you know, you're just going to be able to shatter immediately if they do, you know, try to shield. When you're soloing the game, armor piercing is actually kind of an important stat to have. So 25 is a very, very good number. If anyone uses Fortify, Brace, anything like that, we're piercing through it completely. In fact, starting Mirage, I believe, the bosses only have like 40 resist. In some cases, you might even be piercing through an entire mob's resist. I don't even have the best pierce jewels. I have a 3% on that Lord of Death's Razor. I could get that one to 6% and I'd have 28 pierce. But remember, if you do have the Blade of the Felled Titan, if you're not upgrading to the Morganth or whatever, then without that extra slot, you would be at 22 pierce. But again, honestly, having 20 plus pierce, you're already piercing through a brace, which is more than enough. So you're like 25 pierce, very good. Pip conversion, that's not a stat that you get until I'm level 110. That's why I have pip conversion. You don't have to deal with that right now. And power pips, 100%. Again, if I ever drop below that 100%, if I get Kabbalist boots, I believe I lose power pips at 125. I'll unlock the socket on this thing. I might have socket wrenches, maybe not. Other than that, it's 150 crowns, but that's a day and a half of trivia. I'll throw on a pip jewel. It would be pretty nice. So yeah, those are the stats. 100% pip chance, you know, really, really nice stats. We were able to get all these. Again, all this gear is farmable, except for this, but again, I would recommend using this. I just happen to have this, so I'm using it because why not. But with this, your stats are literally the same. You just lose out a little bit of crit, you gain 1 damage. It's literally the same thing. So farmable, 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 all farmable. Even the jewels, even the like trivia crowns to unlock the sockets, farmable. This pet, I've documented pretty much all this. Last thing, time to show you the deck setup. One thing that will change is instead of having epic, you're gonna have colossal. Epic, I have it because I'm in the Arcanum now. I have access to these spells now, that's why I have it. But I'm gonna keep the epics in there. If obviously if you're level 100 and you're following along, put in colossals. Now, last time we just had 1 row of spells with a couple extras. And basically, I was guaranteed to always pull a blade first turn, but battles can become very unpredictable when you're doing it solo. So, honestly, I don't even carry that much in sideboard. Like, I don't really carry... I mean, I should carry Pierces and Shatters. I'm out of them right now. I have to buy more from the Bazaar, but... I would increase the deck slightly. So, with this deck setup, I have a very high chance to pull blades. I even have enough feints. So again, my deck setup is set up so that I rarely ever have to change it. If anything, for a certain boss battle, I might really quickly throw in 2 death prisms if I face the death boss. Otherwise, I just carry this because it's super easy to cycle everything. Mob fights are going to end in 2 or 3 turns. Boss fights are going to end in 3 or 5 turns, depending on how hard the boss is. You're not going to die in the boss at all. This is all you need. 2 enchants, 2 hits, a Krulu and a Scarecrow. These essentially do the same damage, just that Krulu does a little bit more. If you get lucky, you get the Shadow Pip in time, then you use this over Scarecrow. In PvE, you're not going to be using single hits. There's like very few battles where you're constrained to a specific strategy where you have to use a single hit, which hitting everyone at the same time is just so much more efficient in PvE. Potent Trap and Sharpened Blade. These are 3 things that we did not have when I made that last gear guide. You get these from Azteca. You have to do some side quests to unlock the Sun Obelisk, but you're able to increase the damage on your blade, but it also allows you to stack the blades. If I casted 2 normal Death Blades on myself, it would only use up one of them when I used a hit. But if I sharpened one of them, then it would use up both of them because they're 2 different blades. So that is the deck setup. And then I guess in sideboard, I like to carry some Cleanse Charms. I like to carry extra pre-enchanted Krulus, pre-enchanted Scarecrows. Obviously, pre-enchants are no longer usable in PvP. 1 and 2 pip pre-enchants, or you can't even pre-enchant 1 or 2 pip spells. You can still pre-enchant all these other spells, but they just have that no PvP symbol on them. But you can definitely still do it in PvE perfectly fine. So I have some Scarecrows and Krulus pre-enchanted so that, you know, if I get into a solo fight, I want to make sure I have extra hits without affecting how I pull my cards. That's why I have those there. And then I even have an extra blade, some cleanses. And I would also carry, honestly, I actually got messed up. I should also carry, you know, a reshuffle or 2 inside. I should carry some shatters. Those things are nice to have. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the deck setup. I mean, here's the thing. When you do Darkmoor, you're pretty much going to be in either Ruined Alcazar, Sardonyx, one of those places. You're going to be around that area in Chrysalis when you reach Darkmoor, so you have very little bit of Chrysalis left. So I guess I'll demonstrate this on a random Polaris boss and on random Polaris mob fight just to show you how the deck cycling works. So I'll roll over to that clip in just a second. This has been a very long video so far. Unlike last time where I did a mob fight first and then I tested out on a boss, we're gonna do a boss fight first because oddly enough in Polaris the first battle you do is actually a boss fight, which is interesting. So we're gonna go ahead and battle Inspector Cluso, I think is his name. We're gonna fight him, show you how the deck cycling works. So again, there's a very low chance that you're actually not gonna pull any blades. So 10,000 health boss. For this type of boss, I like to just double feint, double blade, and just hit. So I have my Potent Trap. I'm gonna enchant the feint. I only need 2 of the blades, so I'm gonna enchant a Death Blade. I'm actually going to go ahead and discard 2 of the Death Blades because I want to try to pull my hits as fast as possible. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna use one of my feints, and the reason why I like to use feints first is because there's a storm right here. There's a chance that it could use Leviathan and Feeble, stuff like that. I like to blade right before I hit because the thing is, if a boss doesn't have a feint removal cheat, they're not going to remove that feint. So once you get that feint on, there's nothing that, you know, it won't get removed. But if you have a blade on, there's a lot more blade removal methods for things. So yeah. Anyways, for battles like this, I know that I'm not going to need only a 10,000 health boss. I know I'm not going to need Krulu, so I'm going to go ahead and discard that because I do have that Scarecrow in. I'll discard the feint because I have this feint right here. And I'll go ahead and use it actually. And I'll also go ahead and discard another blade because I do carry 4 blades. I discarded a pet blade. I discarded 2 normal blades, which means I do have 1 more non-sharpened death blade in. So there's that. Alright, so this is actually a good example of a battle because right here I just got a Freeted. A Freet puts on a -45 weakness, which is too much to ignore. So I will go ahead and draw from side as soon as this turn is done. I've already shown this battle on stream, but you know, just for the purposes of this video, you know, showing how the deck works, we're gonna, you know, do it. There we go. Pulled our Scarecrow, 590. We go ahead and draw. We pulled our Cleanse Charm. We even have our 2 blades right here. I'm gonna go ahead and cleanse first, just in case he puts on like an infection or something. I don't think this boss puts on an infection. He's a fire boss, but I like to cleanse off weaknesses as soon as I get them, so that I don't have to worry about another weakness being stacked on top that is slightly weaker, but then that protects the annoying weakness. So I like to take it off as soon as possible. Just got Tempested. It's fine. But yeah, that would be a good example of deck cycling. Now, I know I believe in the last video, the deck setup that I had, I have already calculated the damages for that video because I basically always assume that I'm never going to crit. I always assume that they're always going to block in the last video if I do crit. And that I have like a rare chance to even crit unless you're like a super high level. But the thing is, with the way they've changed the crit block system, like you crit like almost all the time, but it's still like it's not 100% that you're gonna actually crit, so it's not reliable in my opinion. So there's no way for me to really test the damage out. I could calculate it still, but I'm gonna do more than what I calculate because I'm probably gonna crit on them, and you know I don't have to whip out a crit calculator every single time I use a hit. So I just have this general rule now that if there's like a boss that does not have 20,000, if a boss has like, you know, close to 20,000, like 18 to 22,000 health, then I'll use 3 feints and 2 blades. If a boss has, you know, 10,000 to 12,000, 8,000 to 12,000 health, honestly, you know, 10,000 to 12,000 health, I'll go double feint, double blade. If a boss is 8,000 health, I'm just gonna go double feint, single blade. That's what I do for boss fights. So as you can see, I've got my double feint, double blade on. This is still going to be overkill because I'm probably going to crit, and he's probably not going to block. Crit block is also bugged in a way where if the enemy does actually block your hit, you won't be able to see it, which is kind of weird. And also, that is a strange Phoenix. That Phoenix actually put a mantle on me, so I might actually fizzle this hit. I did not fizzle. That's a good thing. I'm going to make a video, by the way, at some point on how I tell when I'm... or how to tell, you know, a couple seconds early if you're going to fizzle or not, but... There's a Scarecrow. It's going out. 21,000 damage with a crit. Without a crit, it would have done, you know... The thing is, again, crit, you're not guaranteed to do double damage with a crit. It's definitely gonna do under double damage. So that could have done 12,000 for all I know. I don't know. I haven't actually calculated it. I'm not gonna go ahead and calculate it, but I just have a general rule that, you know, I'm gonna feint twice, blade twice if it's, you know, low 10,000s. Anything more than that, I'm gonna blade a third time. And anything below 10,000, I'm probably just gonna go double feint, double blade. So yeah, and the reason, another reason for that is because if I do block and they do somehow tank, then they have like very, very low health left to where, you know, I don't have to worry about anything. I have an extra hit left. So that's a good example of a boss fight. Now let's move on to a mob fight. Now, here we are for the mob fight example. Now, one thing to keep in mind, something I was not able to show in the last gear guide, was the fact that because of this deck, I now am able to Scarecrow second turn. So, because I don't want to have to change up the deck setup for every single fight, because I just want to keep one deck setup that I use for pretty much the entire world, I don't change anything here, but at the same time, I have one Scarecrow, but then I have all these cards, and if I want a second turn Scarecrow, then I have to make sure I discard stuff properly. So, Scarecrow does... You know, it's 890 with this enchant. You know, it'll be like 865 with the colossal enchant. But with my damage, it essentially does 2,000 damage, right, without a crit. So a 50 blade and 2,000 damage would make it do 3,000 damage. So if I were to jump into this fight right here, I'm pretty sure they have below 3,000 health. So I would just blade once and literally just Scarecrow second turn. So yeah, they only have 2,240 health. I got lucky enough to pull my Scarecrow first turn. If I didn't pull my Scarecrow, what I would do is I would literally just sharpen one blade. If I didn't pull a sharpen, I would discard everything except for just one single blade. I would discard everything except for one single blade, and then I would just immediately Scarecrow. So I'm just going to do this. I pulled my Scarecrow. I was lucky enough to do that. Wait for them to use their shields and stuff. And then I'm just going to hit. And it's going to do overkill damage. It would do around 3,000 without a crit, but I'm probably going to crit on them. I'm definitely going to crit. And they're probably not going to block. And there you go, 5,400. That is literally what you do. Just blade Scarecrow for mob fights. And feint, blade. And then blade a second time if they have a little bit higher health. And that is what you do for boss fights. So, yeah, there we go. Alright, anyways, that does it for this video. This is the update to the gear guide that I'm using on Michael Silverflame. I will be doing another gear update guide once this wizard reaches max level. If you want to know when I stream, if you want to know when I do the episodes for this budget walkthrough, I do stream live at twitch.tv every single day of the week except Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time if you do want to check it out. But I do also upload the VODs to YouTube, which I will be changing that for the balance walkthrough. I'm probably going to be editing down the VODs on YouTube so that they're more watchable, and then people can get the full experience live on Twitch. But links for everything are down in the description below. Make sure to join my Discord as well, where you can get where we hold events with prizes and stuff like that. You also get notifications on when I upload new videos. Get a lot of helpful guides there. You can, join the community, have a good time there. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you found this helpful, and have a great rest of your day.